Hey, I'm Quincy and I'm a radio personality, but just like you, I'm always wanting to make better health choices for myself and of course for my family. Now that's why I've teamed up with my friend Dr. Dean Tyndall and the fine folks of New Life Naturopathic, the creators of new-lifeweightloss.com, to bring you a podcast focused on giving you the information you need to make the best health decisions for you and your family. Now, that's going to be without sway from what mainstream medicine has become. Now, this podcast, Pursuit of New Life, we're going to release one each Friday. And we're going to focus on debunking the mainstream medicine myths now associated with naturopathic, holistic medicine, while giving you clear insight into ways you can make your health a lifestyle and not a jump from fad diet to fad diet. Experts in the fields of biochemistry, chiropractic, physiology, women's health, and much more will weigh in on a range of topics, all designed to open your eyes, expand your knowledge, and bring you to new life. Now be sure to subscribe to Pursuit of New Life on all the podcast platforms, and also follow us on YouTube at newlifenaturopathic.com, and be joining us every Friday for Pursuit of New Life. Yes, and welcome into a new episode of Pursuit of New Life. We thank you for coming along on our holistic journey with our New Life team. Dr. Tyndall and Miriam are here. Dr. Stuber is not with us this time, but I'm sure she'll be back around with us very, very soon. But today we do have Maureen Green. Nurse Mo is going to be joining us. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Absolutely. I'm honored to be here.
Well, just from our little bit of conversation before we got going, I'm very excited to see where this is going to go. And this is the time of year, as we've finished a month of 2024 already, by the way. Where did January go? January, it's January 75th, and then all of a sudden we're looking at 2025 already. Like that's
yeah.
January disappeared after it felt like it took forever to get going. But this is the time of year, though, for most people, when the New Year's resolutions are already done, right? All the people that got the new gym memberships, they're already searching for the next fad and things. And that's why we're here to help. This podcast is about trying to get you to make lifestyle changes that are sustainable, not just a New Year's resolution as the calendar turns, not just a fad diet. And so we're excited to bring you some great new things this year, and starting off our first episode of 2024 because of some things. Having a guest for the first time in our podcast history. We're looking forward to what that's going to yield today. But would you go ahead and subscribe to Pursuit of New Life on your favorite podcast platform, and of course find us on YouTube on the New Life Naturopathic YouTube channel. And we're going to get started. Dr. T, as always, the intrepid leader of our squad here, is going to get us going today.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're going to interview Nurse Green and ask her some questions. And the first one is, how did you become a heretic?
Heretic is a good description. Yes.
A heretic, a conspiracy theorist, a conspiracy realist is what I call myself.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, because like with us, with chiropractic and things like that, it's kind of a natural for us. It's kind of a natural continuation of our practice to go into nutrition or other things like that. With you, starting out in healthcare, the traditional healthcare going this direction is definitely 180-degree turn.
Yeah, it is a little bit different, isn't it? Where to go from that kind of background and completely, like you said, just a big time switch.
Yeah. Well, God knew what he was doing when he did that to me. So he knew what road he needed to lead me down. And I was not a very willing participant in that road, but I eventually caught on to what he was doing and kind of got more and more willing. So I got my nursing degree in 1993, started out in pediatric home care, worked with high-tech patients, vents, G-tubes, trachs, things like that. Worked with them at school, stayed at their homes while parents slept and things like that. Went into the Children's Hospital in Dayton, Ohio, ended up injuring my back and was off for 4 years and almost gave up my nursing license, decided to go into adult nursing, and loved adult home care. Absolutely adored it, and worked my way up to management. And in 2007, got my dream job as a manager of clinical services over 2 counties in Dayton, Ohio. managed RNs, LPNs, home health aides. And a couple of days after my 1-year review, got very sick, ended up in the hospital for 7 days. The surgeon that followed my care said, well, we don't really know what happened. And I pushed a little bit, and he said, well, let's do an exploratory surgery to figure this out. And that just did not make sense to me. A GI doctor did not see me the whole time, and what I had going on was GI based, and went to my doctor, who was a family doctor at that time. And she said, well, let's send you to a GI doctor. So we did. And we had applied to the insurance company for a capsule endoscopy, which is tiny cameras inside of a pill. You swallow it, you wear this halter, and it goes through your digestive system and takes pictures as it goes through. But before we could get that approved, I ended up in the hospital again with C. diff because of the antibiotics that I had been on in the first hospitalization. And during that hospitalization, they did the capsule endoscopy, and I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, moderate to severe Crohn's, in my terminal ileum, which is right where the small intestine meets the large intestine. It's where your appendix is and all of that. And thought I knew everything about Crohn's disease, but boy, oh boy, did I learn that I did not know anything about the patient side of Crohn's disease. And over the next 6 years, 2008, about 6 to 7 years, I was hospitalized 12 times, 9 to 12-day stays. Single mom, kids had to go stay with various people during my hospitalizations. And I really learned what it was like to be inside the bed. And when you're a medical professional and you think you understand what your patients go through and you end up inside the bed, it's a very, very sobering experience, getting called a drug seeker, being told that I was looking for pain medication, not being listened to by the hospitalists, and saying, this is what's going on, this is what I'm thinking, and them not caring anything about what you're saying because they're formulating their own decisions in their mind. So I really grew a huge appreciation for what people go through when they're inside the hospitals and laying in that bed. And that's really what kind of started the trajectory of me heading down and ending up at the path that I'm on now.
So what did that look like when you had to make that transition to, like you said, having your dream job, being ready to take that path, having this whole thing happen? And so what kind of made that next step seem natural to you to get into natural medicine? Because I mean, you're a functional, holistic RN as you're described. And so I guess for people that are listening right now and thinking, okay, she just said a lot of stuff about a lot of medical things. What did that really look like for you?
So I was so medically minded that I met a woman in line at Kings Island, a local amusement park here. And I had taken my kids. It was later on the first year, taken them there because our year had been horrible. And they just needed some fun. And met her in line, standing there with my then 7-year-old. She's 22 now. And she said, I told her, explained, I'm an open book. I explained everything to her, why we were there. And she goes, well, I said, I really feel like as a society, we've gotten away from eating the way we should for our bodies, fruits and vegetables, and as close to what God has put on this earth for us, how we're supposed to be eating. And she goes, well, how do you get that? And I said, well, you get in the driver's seat, I'll get in the passenger seat, I'll eat a salad. And when we get to the ER, I'll have to be hospitalized for a few days because I'll need bowel rest after that, because that's what raw fruits and vegetables do to my GI system. So I couldn't eat raw fruits and vegetables. She was partnered with a naturopathic company, Fruits and Vegetables in a Capsule. I won't say the name out of respect for you guys. If you want me to later, I can. But she told me about it and explained to me, it's just fruits and vegetables in a capsule. It's a great way to get the nutrition into your body. And I had never heard of it before. And although it made sense, it didn't make sense. Like my nursing education did not teach me anything about this. So it didn't make sense to me. My initial thought was, well, what are fruits and vegetables going to do for me that medications can't? I literally thought that. And 4 years later, after meeting her and becoming friends, I ended up being approved for disability. And my copay for the biologic that was suppressing my immune system went from $5 a month on patient assistance through the pharmaceutical program to $400 a month. And as a single mom on disability, trying to raise 2 kids alone at home who were still in younger years at school, I couldn't afford that. So I was driving home from the doctor's office, whose only answer to me, and I said to him, please don't recommend anything that could potentially kill me, because I watched my sister die from brain cancer and leave behind a 16 and 14-year-old. So, I can't do something like that. I've got to, what else can you help me figure out here? And his only suggestion was a research study where I could get the placebo, or I could get a drug that could potentially kill me. And it just wasn't an option. And I was praying on the way home, and I really felt God going, I know, right? I really felt God going, are you going to do what I showed you 4 years ago? Hello? Yeah. I gave you your answer. Your blessing was 4 years back. Are you, hello? So I prayed more about it, and I said, all right, Lord, if you help me figure this out, financially, what I need to do. And I got started on it. And 2.5 years later was my next hospitalization. And I went, wait, I haven't been in the hospital in 2.5 years. What's going on here? This doesn't make any sense. And I went to the doctor and I said, hey, I'm feeling better, and I want to do some tests to see what's going on with my body. I know how I'm feeling. Can we do some testing? And he did an upper scope, a colonoscopy, an EGD, a colonoscopy, some lab work, did biopsies of where my active Crohn's disease had always been. My colonoscopy came back completely clean. During the 2.5 years between when I got started on that natural product, that supplement, I started to be able to eat fruits and vegetables too. I was drinking more water. I didn't go off dairy. I didn't go off gluten. I didn't do all the things that I've done since then, but I started making small changes too. So now here we are after all of that, and we do all these tests, and the colonoscopy comes back completely clean. My tissue was nice, healthy, pink, didn't have any scarring, didn't have any bad areas. It looked like a normal, healthy colon. My upper scope showed just a little bit of gastritis, where I had been on 80 milligrams of Prilosec, which is 4 times the over-the-counter dose. I was on that daily, because during my active Crohn's disease, I would wake up in the middle of the night aspirating on my vomit. That was one of the things that I would go through. My blood work came back completely normal, except my one of my markers, red blood cell, I think it was a little low. So I needed a little bit more of a boost, or just a little bit more time to let my body do what it was doing. And then the biopsy came back absolutely normal, no sign of active disease. Now, this was after I got off all my medication and was just using nutrition. I got off 26 daily pills, 2 inhalers, and a handful of as-needed medications. And one of those was an antidepressant that I had been on for 21 or 23 years, that I was told I would be on the rest of my life. And I was very trepidatious about coming off of that, because I would get suicidal. And I was down to 5 milligrams from 40 milligrams. And I finally worked my way off of it with doctor's approval, with working with my doctor. And I haven't been on it since 2015. That was 2015. And I haven't been back on any of that ever since then. And,
awesome.
That was when I got out of that doctor's office that day, and he said, you're in remission. And I hadn't been diagnosed in remission in 7 years. And I was off all that medication. I sat in my car and I looked in my rearview mirror, and I used a cuss word I won't use here. I said, what in the world just happened? That doesn't make any sense. I need to understand this. And I went on a mission to dive into information, anything that came across my path, to try to learn and figure out why fruit and vegetable nutrition worked to help turn all of my 6 autoimmune diseases. I have fibro, trigeminal neuralgia, asthma, allergies, chronic fatigue, restless leg. I'd been diagnosed with sleep apnea at one point. I'd been diagnosed with high cholesterol at one point, like all of these things. How in the world did fruits and vegetables just pull all of that back in? And my body just it made no sense to me. So that was the trajectory. That was,
wow. Dr. Tyndall, that sounds like the side effects of one of those commercials that you like so much. That's there at the end. That's what she was listing. All of the side effects.
By the way, that one commercial I kind of like to make fun of. They may actually made a newer commercial. So maybe with their podcast, they heard we were making fun of them and they changed it.
You never know who's listening.
That A1C one. What do they call it?
I don't remember, but I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Is it Truvia?
Truvia, yeah.
Yeah. My kids make fun of the commercials with me. They listen for the side effects now. And my teenager, he'll say, wait, that one said you could die. Yes, let's get rid of your rash so you could die.
Because I was at a patient's place when I first heard it. And of course, they went through all the side effects. And one of them's ketoacidosis and death and blah, 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 blah. And it goes on and on. And at the very end of it, I said, or you could eat better.
Yes.
Or you could eat better.
So one of the things we talk a lot about on this podcast, you've mentioned them easily in the first little bit of your answers. You've talked about healthcare versus sick care. You've talked about, medical doctors staying in the lane they're supposed to and things like that. But one of the things you just talked about toward the end there, talking about the time it takes when you make a lifestyle change. When you change nutrition and you change in those lifestyle things, it's not a fad diet that fixed it. The product that helped you get there, the supplements that didn't completely fit. That wasn't the quick fix. That was to get you to a position. Right. So, Miriam, Dr. Tyndall, or Nurse Mo, whichever one of you, like, for people that are listening and thinking, gosh, I don't know if I can wait 2.5 years to fix this. That's why I need the quick fix. You don't know what I'm going through. I mean, we just heard what you went through, and that's as traumatic as anybody I can think of to have to be patient through. So what do you guys think for the block for most people of having to take that wait and see approach of, okay, if I eat right, is it going to be 2 years? Is it going to be 5 years? Is it worth waiting those years, or can I just get my medication and move on? How do you guys want to approach talking to the people that are thinking that right now?
Well, here's what I kind of tell people. First of all, when it comes to us, when we do stuff, we don't have an either or approach. If you're seeing a doctor they're using medications to manage your symptoms, as we work with you, what we tell patients is watch your symptoms. And as you start to get better and your labs start to get better, then you can go back to that doctor and gradually get off those medications and stuff. But for the most part, the body wants to heal. Okay. And so this is why you want to actually come to practitioners like Nurse Mo or ourselves, is because what happens, she probably spent a lot of time just trying to get educated and learning and things like that. And that's probably why it took a tremendous amount of time. Like, because you're learning and learning. Well, we've kind of learned that stuff. And what we try to do is shorten up the learning curve for you because we've done that stuff and try to get you onto the appropriate products. Because, like what we see all the time in our office is people who are trying to do it themselves. They try this, they watch something on TV and they try that and they try that. And next thing they know, they come in their office. I don't know if it's the same thing with you, but they come into your place and they got a box full of stuff that they've tried. And you're like, man, you could have saved a lot of money if you found somebody who knows what they're doing, listen to your stuff, did a thorough history, did a good proper workup, and say, hey, let's start with this first, and kind of got like with that. So like with with Mo here, I would have put her on no chocolate, no caffeine, and then I would put her on stuff to start straighten out her gut flora. I would use boswellia and some oils, because boswellia is a great anti-inflammatory for the gut. It actually heals up the gut lining quicker. And then you can use some dermatrophin and ligoplex too. And, so we deal with it a lot. We see it a lot. So, so it'd have been probably wouldn't have taken a full 2 years, but it takes time for your body to heal. And the other thing I tell patients, when you're on these drugs, they're not healing you, they're managing you. So when the doctor gets you as a diabetic, type 2 diabetic, you're going to be if you let them continue to work with you, you're a type 2 diabetic till the end of your life, which is actually shortened because you're a type 2 diabetic. Well, guess what? You can change being a type 2 diabetic by what? Changing your lifestyle, eating healthier foods, managing your blood sugar levels, using certain supplementations to repair your pancreas, repair your liver, repair your blood sugar handling in your system. And guess what? 18 months later, on average, guess what? No longer type 2 diabetic.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So one of the things that I want to let you guys know is during that 2.5 year time period, when I got started on that supplement, my deal with God was, help this keep me at the level of dis-ease that I'm at, so that I can graduate my 2 children that are still home from high school. And then after that, I'm okay with dying if that's what needs to happen, Lord. That was my 2.5 year. That was my 2.5 year time period. And at that time, as I'm feeling better, I'm taking mental note and I'm using myself as a guinea pig, and I'm going off dairy, and then I'm adding it back in, and I'm seeing how my body reacts. And I'm doing the same thing with like breads and things like that. And we cut out milk at one point because I was like, yeah, no, this isn't working. This isn't working for my body. My body doesn't like this. Let's cut this out. So it was a learning process during that 2.5 years. And if I had somebody like Dr. Tyndall could have shortened that way down, because everything that I've learned over the last 8 years is what Dr. Tyndall has known for the last 30, I think.
Been about 30 years, yeah.
30 years.
I haven't known it for the whole 30, but yeah, it's been a lot of learning. I still learn, it's always a learning process for us, but yeah.
Yes, exactly. So it's been a process for me of self-education, whereas Dr. Tyndall has already been in that road and in that trajectory, and has been able to take his patients from where I was at when I got started on that supplement, getting the fruit and vegetable nutrition into my body to stop me going down the drain. And my son is a firefighter, and he says, we call that circling the drain, Mom. Circling the drain. You're going in the wrong direction, and you need something to come in and stop it and push you in the opposite direction to get you back towards health. And I tell people our bodies, because this is my mission. My mission is to help people understand your body. Speak your body's language. Your body will talk to you and tell you what it likes and what it doesn't like. That's what rashes are, and headaches and fatigue and pain and all of this stuff. Your body is saying, hey, I don't like that. Something's wrong. I need you to fuel me so that I can take care of what needs to be taken care of. Our body's number one goal is to live, to thrive, and to help us live and thrive. And when we fuel our body in the right way, our body thanks us by helping us feel really good. And we can go about and do everything. And in my Christian world, I say, we need to get ourselves to that point because God has missions for us. And he gave me word back in 2019 that the body is sick. And I thought he was talking about my body. And he goes, no, the body is sick. And I need you to go home and help the body get better, because I have work for them to do. And this was in December of 2019.
And that was right before the world shut down, because
right before.
Yeah.
And when I got home, I talked to my pastor and apostle about it. They had told me about how they had an altar call, and all diabetics across the front. It was an evangelical church all across the front. And they ended up not listening to the word that I had gotten. And that's for them to do. But it was just a very sobering experience.
It's frustrating.
Even in the prophetic, though, as you've surely witnessed, even in the prophetic, people still want the quick fix. So you might give them a financial word of, hey, your situation's going to turn around. And then 6 months later, they see you and say, you lied. I can't believe you made that up about me. And then you ask them, did you put any job applications in? Did you,
Well, I experienced that myself with wanting the quick fix, That's why I did the medication, because I thought the medication was going to quick fix me. And the medication, I just was getting sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker over that 7 years. And I felt like I was in a battle with time to graduate my children from high school before I died. That's what it felt like to me when I was sick, was, am I going to reach the end zone and graduate them from high school before I die? Because I watched that happen to my sister with her 2 kids. And she didn't make it.
So one of the medications did they put you on, was it one of the a chemotherapy drug almost?
No, so I was on Remicade was my first one, then Humira. And what happened is my body just built up tolerances. It didn't respond very well to either of those. Humira was a self-injectable. Remicade was an IV I went in for. And then Cimzia was the last one. It was a self-injectable. And I think I might have done 2 doses. It's a monthly dose, 2 doses of that. And before I got approved for disability, and my copay went to $400. And I was like,
so were you doing the once a month blood test or once every, for your liver and
oh,
all
they
that
were
stuff?
doing blood tests, but yeah, my liver enzymes were always wonky. Reason why I would end up in the hospital most of the time was because my potassium would tank. And I didn't understand any of this. Like I just thought, oh great, now my liver is I thought my body was revolting on me. Oh great, now my liver's revolting on me. What else can go wrong? I've got all these things cropping up and all these diagnoses. How else is my body going to attack me? And that's how I looked at it. Like being on this side of it, I know I come across as somebody who's, functional holistic nurse Mo, but I was completely in the other camp. And I have such an understanding and compassion for the people who are like, but I'm sick now. I want to get healthier. I don't want to feel like this. Life, there were many times where I was at, life is not worth living if living is going to be like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I understand that. I get it. I understand those times of crying because just getting out of bed is such a challenge. I slept 16 to 22 hours a day. That's how sick I got. My hair was falling out by the handfuls when I would be in the shower. And you can see it's very healthy now. This is nutrition. People say, I love your hair. And I say, my response is, that's nutrition.
Wow. Miriam, what this speaks to is something we end up talking about a lot. You were just talking about all the different testing that they got wrong. We talk all the time about the importance of doing the tests that actually answer the questions. Miriam, do you want to speak to any of that or ask any questions? Because, you were the one that said we needed to get Nurse Mo on here in the first place. So I think it's your turn now.
Absolutely. And I do not regret that decision whatsoever. This is amazing. I absolutely love your story, Mo, and thank you so much for sharing it. Thank you. And, it takes a lot of bravery to, go back to a lot of those difficult times and, be so open about them. So just want you to know that we all really, really appreciate that. And I kind of went through a similar story. You don't know everything, and I hope you will know everything at some point. But I was kind of on a trajectory of going into conventional medicine. I was pre-med. I wanted to be a doctor, and I then became a patient myself. Long story short, I also realized what it felt like to be on the other end of that. And, a lot of what I had noticed was, the doctors did not listen, and they, it wasn't, ill-willed. It was just, they didn't really know how to listen. They weren't trained to do so or know how to. And so, a lot of my, I guess, roadblocks were, I felt alone in my journey, and I had to figure a lot of it out, until, of course, I met Dr. Tyndall. And, I was very, very lucky and fortunate enough to have met Dr. Tyndall when I was very sick. And I'll definitely share more details on that. But one very interesting aspect of when I kind of made that switch or transition was I was getting some interesting remarks from a lot of my colleagues when I had decided to kind of leave that path behind and go into more of an alternative, holistic, naturopathic route. And one of them called me a witch doctor. And I thought it sounded really cool, actually. like, yeah, I kind of like that. Thank you. But of course, that person did not mean it in a good way. They were more like, oh, what's wrong with you? Why are you doing that? That's just weird. But as soon as I transitioned is when I actually saw real true results in my health and started to feel better. And so I resonate 1,000% completely with your story. So I'm very interested in knowing from your side of that, if you have any interesting stories or anything that stood out that you can remember.
Like how your colleagues treated you.
Yeah. So not really colleagues, because when I got sick, I ended up on short-term disability, then long-term disability. I did work for a short period of time, but that was before I kind of realized the truth about holistic treatments and everything. So most of the people that I've come into contact with already have this mindset, but there are those people. I'm very well known on social media. I have like 7,000 followers almost on Facebook, but I have no access to my Facebook. I post to it from Instagram because I'm very outspoken and have been since I learned some things.
Shame on you.
You know what?
How dare you spread the truth?
Absolutely. And you know what? I've said many times, people have said, aren't you afraid? I'm like, I've got God on my side. Like, I have no idea how many times God has pushed somebody away from me, and I have no idea they were even there. Like, no, I'm not afraid. God's got me. This is okay,
Amen.
Yeah, you have the trolls and you have all those people who come at you. And you know what? I just look at those people as an opportunity for education. And there is, just like there was with me and with my education, there's a lack there. And I had to learn that all on my own. Everything that I've learned so far, I'm sure I don't know as much as I could, and I will keep learning the rest of my life. But it's an opportunity for learning and an opportunity for robbing pharma and taking people back away from them because they have basically brainwashed, programmed, whatever you want to call it, us about medications in our bodies and how it's supposed to work and all of this other stuff for our whole entire lives. And we're supposed to go see the doctor every time we have a sniffle. And we're supposed to go every time we think we might have a sniffle, and it's not really what it is. If you think you've got a sniffle, well, here, reach for your vitamin C or eat an orange or drink more. Here's the things that you need to do with functional medicine. It's food. Get that garlic in, get that oregano in, do that apple cider vinegar, that vitamin, the orange, the lemon, the lime, drinking your lemon water and things like that. So, I do have those people that come at me, but I just don't have the stories. People, if they think that way, they haven't said anything to me that made it memorable. And if somebody had said, "Oh, you're becoming a witch doctor," I would have looked at them and said, "Yep, my broom's back there." I'll see you on the flip side when you need me. Yeah, it's
which is funny.
People are coming around.
Which is funny because when you do get MDs come into the office, they almost want to come through the back door.
Yeah.
And what I find is amazing, especially as chiropractic and naturopathic, because I've treated some heads of hospitals and stuff around here, and several medical doctors, and actually one of my funniest stories. I had an ER doctor. She fell and broke her collarbone, and I'm like, "Why didn't you go to the ER?" And she goes, "I'm an ER doctor. I'm not going there." She goes, "You could X-ray me, assess me, and I'll be out here in a half an hour."
I've seen the sausage made. Yeah, that was
And you'll have me assessed out of here and at an orthopedist within a half hour. And I go, "Well, yeah." She goes, "So why would I go over there wait for 6 or 7 hours when you can be done with me?" And I go, "Oh, yeah, fine." But
let's put that in a brochure. Yeah, that's a good idea.
But yeah, so what's interesting is, my brother's a chiropractor. And like I said, what's interesting is you treat them, they get better, but they don't actually, they won't send their patients over. They won't refer their patients over.
Which is such a shame.
Yeah, I got nurse practitioners and nurses and everything. Now, nurses will send over for as chiropractic and stuff goes. As far as like nutrition and this and that, they're like, no.
Because they don't understand it. Dr. T, we need to start doing educational courses for nurses to help them understand how all of this works, because I was very skeptical about it. I had a person come to me when I was living with a friend. So we were homeless. This was after I was diagnosed. I was given Social Security disability, and or right before I was approved. My long-term disability company said, without talking to me, without assessing me or anything like that, before I got approved for disability, they sent me a letter and said, we're not sending you any more money. We've determined that you do not meet our criteria anymore and that you can work full time. And my doctor said I could not even work per diem. That's how sick I was. So I had to appeal that decision. I had to hire a legal aid attorney. I had to appeal that decision. My kids and I ended up homeless. We lived in a motel for a little bit of time. I ended up in the hospital in an emergent situation again, and stayed with a friend. And she was a babysitter. And one of the parents who came there always brought her daughter's meals with her, and in a little container. And that's what her daughter ate. And she said one time, hey, have you looked at what you're eating? And my response to her was, of course I have, and it didn't work. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And that was exactly how I said it to her. Now, after I recovered my health, God gave me the opportunity to see her again at that friend's house when I was visiting her. And I went up to her and I said, hey, do you remember me? And she goes, yeah. How are you doing? And I told her, and I said, listen, I don't know if you remember or not, but there was a time where you asked me this question, and this is how I responded. And I want to let you know, don't you ever stop saying things to people. I hope what I said to you did not cause you to do that, because you were right. Nutrition is what helped me get back my life and helped me turn my life around and take back control of my health. So you keep saying what you're saying and you keep doing what you're doing. Wow. So I was actually one of those people, Miriam.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I know we could do this all day, and I know that there's plenty between the three of you that is encouraging to people and challenging to people. But as we wrap this up, what would you say, Nurse Mo, to somebody that's, maybe tried a lot of different things, maybe even tried some nutritional supplements, and maybe the time frame didn't work for them, or they had somebody discourage them and they let that stop them on that path? What would be maybe your best advice for someone that is having the chronic pain or the chronic situation similar to yours, or something else in your story that resonated with them, and they're thinking, I just don't know what to do next? What would be your best advice to them?
My best advice is, first of all, don't give up. And don't ever let anybody push you off the course that God's got you on. Always go back to God and ask God where your path is supposed to be. Beyond that, get together with Dr. T's office, or if you're in the Cincinnati office area, call me. And people like us, or wherever you're living, Dr. T, I think, does telehealth also.
Yeah, we do.
So wherever you're at, get in touch with Dr. T's office and get the help that they've got. There are specific things and specific procedures that you've got to go through when you're recovering your health. It's not just getting rid of heavy metals. It's not just parasite cleanses. It's not just gut health. It's so many different things, minerals and electrolytes that could be off balance and things like that. So it's a marathon. Look at it as a marathon, and remember, and look at yourself in the mirror every day and say, I am worth it. I am worth the time. I am worth the investment. And I know that there is a really bright future out there on the other side of this. And I'm going to be such a testimony for the people that are watching me. And God only knows how many other people I'm going to bring along with me when I do stick with it and get to that other side.
That's good. That's powerful. Yep. Anybody else want to add anything to that as we?
No, I think that was fantastic.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, we don't sugarcoat it around here, right, Miriam?
Right. That is exactly right. I said that once, and I think it's just going to get used over and over again.
It was an episode where we were talking about the dangers of sugar. And I don't know why nobody else thought of it, but Miriam at the end, she said, yeah, we don't sugarcoat it. And I was like, ding. So That's good
I
stuff.
love that.
So Nurse Mo, thanks so much for stopping by the podcast with
we
us.
appreciate it.
And we do want to encourage people, as you
Thank
mentioned, we do have the telehealth part available from the New Life team, newlifenaturopathic.com. I would be remiss, and in the comments, we'll have some links for you, like asknursemo.com for options. And we know that this is something that can be collaborative. That's what we like about the holistic approach is we're not in competition with you and what you've learned. We can all learn from each other, and we can get this journey going in the right direction and get these lifestyle changes that can obviously alter our lives in the right way. And new-lifeweightloss.com is obviously a great place to go. We talk about that a lot on our podcast because of the ease that it is, and it gets you the recipes and all of that good stuff. Dr. T, it looks like you want to add something in there, brother. Go ahead.
Oh, I was thinking about, I probably maybe should wait afterwards, but you need to get Nurse Mo's email and stuff, and we'll get you signed up on our eating website. And then also, we'd love to do it again. But we'll get you on our eating website. We'll give you a free membership to it, and see if you like it.
You.
Yeah, because our goal is with that program is people just don't know how to eat, don't know how to cook anymore. And so what we've did is put together a program. It's got like 250, maybe it's almost 300 recipes of real food. We got a vegetarian program, vegan program, which actually is a real vegan and vegetarian program. And
whole food plant-based.
Whole food plant-based. Yep. And then we have some regular program and for people who want to still eat their beef and chicken and fish. We don't have pork in it. But anyhow, it's a great program. We'll get you hooked up and let you try it out and see if you like it.
I'm honored.
This is just the beginning. We're in this together.
Amen.
Hey, that's it.
See?
And that
we're a lot of great things.
That's the whole idea. And that's why we get to do this. And that's why it's called Pursuit of New Life. We're all in this pursuit,
Right.
We're figuring this thing out as we go. And it's an opportunity for us to have some ideas and talk about some things on this podcast, but it's for you to learn and grab and look into for yourself. One of the favorite graphics that we've ever used on this podcast on the video side, there is a balance between looking into it for yourself. So don't confuse your Google search with the training and experience of people like Nurse Mo and Dr. T and Miriam. This is one of our favorite graphics. We bring it back from time to time.
Training
and maybe next time, Nurse Mo, we'll have to get your opinion on that balance, because you talked about a lot of self-learning, and it's important, but you also have to have the balance in that and talk to people that have been there and have been on that journey to where you don't get caught up in the Google searches and get too smart for your britches.
Conflicting information.
Yep.
Right. And there's safe information that you can find out there. So, folks, we encourage you to subscribe to the New Life, Pursuit of New Life podcast, and find us on YouTube at on the New Life Naturopathic channel on YouTube as well. And so we thank you for joining us for this one. We'll have Nurse Mo back again sometime. And in the comments here below and in the description, there will be some links to her website and some other places as well involving her and her story. And we thank her for coming on. Thanks so much, Nurse Mo. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Take care.
Come back and see us again on Pursuit of New Life.